evening, fellow Exorcists, and welcome to the Lay of the Film Exorcist and to our Thanksgiving special. Tonight we will be taking a look at the 2019 Addams Family animated movie. The eccentrically macabre family moves to a bland suburb where Wednesday Addams' friendship with the daughter of a hostile and conformist local reality show host exuberates conflict between the families. Now, before we move on to my opinion, I'd like to just announce that this video is sponsored by Animal. So go buy yourself some amazing low-priced anime merch, including cute figurines to brighten up your collection, and every time you use the code FILM, you'll get 5% off your purchases. Now, since Thanksgiving is such a family-oriented holiday, I figured I'd do one of the more recent incarnations of the weirdest family on the block, the Addams Family. Now, while I've never seen the original TV show or the comic strip, I can happily say that I have seen the first two live-action movies, and I can say that this movie is just as good, but there's no way it's better than them in any way. Now, since we're starting with the story, I want to start with the good things about it, like the awesome piano gag that happens at the beginning of the story involving Thing and Lurch, two of my favorite characters, and I also love how they basically keep this going throughout the movie by having Lurch play different songs on said piano. I also really like Wednesday Addams' storyline about trying something different from her usual routine, because it leads to a lot of great horror references, like the frog version of Frankenstein in the same scene. We also get a great Body Snatchers reference. And I'd say some kind of a zombie reference, maybe something similar to the Goosebumps version of zombies from Welcome to Dead House, which sadly Wolf keeps on trying to get me to like, despite I find it very stupid and a huge waste of zombies. Which, don't worry guys, I'll get to it one day. But trust me when I say Wolf and Cat, this will not be a good review for you guys when it comes to that show. It's boring. So, leave me alone, let it go, and I'll do it another time, along with the Marvel movies someday. So, give me time. But I will also say that it did feel a bit annoying at times because the trope has been done so many times. I mean, they even did something similar during Addams Family Values with the summer camp side story, which now that I think about it, this might just be one big callback or reference to that movie. Another thing I liked was a little joke with Uncle Fester, who made it known that he's not allowed anywhere other than Antarctica, one of the most unpopulated places in the world. And I really also like the little joke with whenever Wednesday shot an arrow and it would hit perfectly on any part of Fester, and it was just very funny. I mean, every scene in this movie involving Fester is actually funny. It's actually the best part of this movie, and I wish we had more of Fester, or at least this was turned into an origin story for Fester, or we at least got to see where Fester went on his travels. Now that would have made a better movie. But let's get on to what I didn't like. Let me say, I will admit that I wasn't too interested in Pugsley's story because really, we all know how it's gonna end. Because it's your typical child who fails and becomes accepted for his differences plotline. And it's really been done over and over again in kids' shows and movies. And it's not that different here either. I mean, I know I shouldn't expect much from a kids' show or kids' movie, but come on, you gotta put more effort into the plot. I mean, again, Wednesday Addams' plotline was better, and that was just weird girl becomes popular, or better than the popular girl. I mean, oh, and that reminds me, what happened to that plotline? She said she was gonna destroy the foundation of the school, and Where is that? We see one scene with zombie frogs and nothing else coming out of that school plot line. Now also, let me make it clear that I was only interested in Wednesday's story and all the references to either the other Addams Family references and horror references. Oh, and before I forget, I also wanted to say that I feel the ending might be a bit of a reference to the story of Addams Family values, because both stories feature a blonde woman trying to destroy the family, and both endings involve the blonde and Fester getting together. Somehow. And just so I don't spoil anything else for those who haven't seen the movie yet, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all you're allowed to hear. Go watch the movie already. Pause this video and go watch the dang movie. Now I also really like the short Addams wedding, which I found to be very cool because it's something we've never seen before, and despite how annoying the Pugsley plotline is, I will say that the Saber Bazooka was really cool, and I really wish the rest of the plot was just as good as that performance. But I guess we can't ever have what we want, and in this movie's case, we can never have what we truly needed. Lastly, I'd like to share my utter disappointment for how they completely screwed up by ending the joke of the Addams Family saying the opposite response for when they like or dislike something. I mean, they did it during the beginning of the movie, but that's about it. And they completely got rid of their love of French music and a lot of the sword fights between Gomez and Fester. I mean, that was a big part of the live action movies. What the heck happened? Why did you have to take those out? Those were really good, and you left it with Fester taking a bath and them having family game night, which I'm guessing they were playing Battleship. Yeah, they were playing Battleship with real explosives, and that's what replaced all the family rivalry between Gomez and Fester? What is wrong with you guys? That's not Addams Family. That's just family game night with explosives. Boring. Oh, and also, despite what everyone thinks and all the jokes about New Jersey is not that bad. And I should know. I mean, I've lived here my entire life, and the only evil thing about here is the Jersey Devil, which is real, trust me guys. My family has seen it. So I think it's time to stop making Jersey jokes, because if you think about it, without New Jersey, you wouldn't have me, and you wouldn't have movies like the Amityville Horror, Jaws, and Friday the 13th, some of the best horror movies out there. Oh, and trust me when I say, the state is very much haunted, because I can't count how many times I've seen ghosts, including my personal spiritual guide, Marcel, the water spirit. So, beware. But yeah, I'm pretty mixed on the story as a whole. Now let's move on to the character. Starting with Gomez Addams, who usually is my favorite character for these movies, but this time I feel they kinda changed him a little too much. Because unlike most movies, he's a lot more accepting of the world, where in Addams Family Values, he literally got sick because they were forced to act normal after they were kicked out of their house by Debbie. So this movie was a lot more awkward for this fact, and while I admit the look of the character is pretty cool, I do wish they had stuck with something more similar to the original pale skinny gentleman that we know and love. Next, let's talk about the mother, Morticia Addams, who is one of the few who actually look and act like their original incarnation. Because she's just as dark and gloomy as ever, and her fear of the outside world is very much justified compared to her husband, and like Fester, she's one of the best characters of the movie, because she's the one person that has changed the least. Then we have the siblings, Pugsley and Wednesday. Like their mother, they haven't really changed that much, except Pugsley seems to be a lot less destructive than he was in the other movies, and he has a lot more feeling than usual. And he's a part of the reason why we have the worst storyline ever in this movie. Wednesday, on the other hand, is honestly the best character of the movie despite her changes because, like her mother, she's just like every other incarnation, and the only difference is that she's trying to see what the world has to offer, while also changing it for the weirder. And I really like the somewhat older cartoon look she has, and honestly, I find it brilliantly done, and I can't wait to see her again in the sequel, just for the look. So yeah, I'm pretty much divided on the cast, because while the women are a lot more like they've always been, the males are way too different to the point that it's annoying. Just like the main villain, who is your typical conformist villain who wants everyone to be just like her. And to be honest, I wasn't impressed in the least. So yeah, like the story, my opinion is pretty split down the middle for each character. Now, let me make this clear. I'm not saying that this is a bad movie, especially since I found a lot of the comedy to be really funny. But during my second viewing, I did start to notice a lot of the flaws. And while these didn't really ruin the experience for me, I will say that they also didn't really help the movie either. So now that that's over, I'm sadly gonna have to give the Addams Family animated movie a 5.5 out of 10 for the mixed feelings that it gave me, but also for the amazing references and the great callbacks to the other incarnations. I'd recommend this to any family looking for a good movie to sit down and watch during the holidays, or if you're only a casual fan of the Addams Family. That's somewhat like me. Now don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and please don't forget to check out Animal, the store for all your anime merchandise and cosplay needs, and if you use the code FILM, you'll get 5% off on your next purchase, and you'll be helping out the channel. So have a great Thanksgiving, and never forget that being weird isn't always a bad thing, unless you make it a bad thing. Have a great night, guys.